Alexander the Great, a name synonymous with conquest and military genius. But did you know he couldn't hold his liquor? Despite his stamina on the battlefield, Alexander got tipsy easily, a funny quirk about a man who rarely showed weakness. Behind this lies a complex figure whose life captivates us millennia later. Born in Pella, the capital of Macedon, in 356 BCE, Alexander was no ordinary child. His father, King Philip II, dreamed of conquering Greece. His mother, Olympias, claimed descent from Achilles. With such a lineage, Alexander was destined for greatness. Tutored by Aristotle, he developed a love of learning and a thirst for knowledge. But he was also a skilled horseman and fierce warrior. At 16, he was left in charge of Macedon, proving his leadership. He quelled a rebellion, earning respect from seasoned commanders. This teenage prince was about to become a legend, Alexander the Great. At the age of 20, Alexander ascended the Macedonian throne after his father's assassination. Many expected the young king to struggle to maintain control of his father's vast empire. Instead, Alexander embarked on a campaign of conquest unlike any the world had ever seen. His goal to conquer the mighty Persian Empire, a vast and wealthy realm stretching from Egypt to India. It was a daring ambition, even for the most seasoned general, but Alexander was driven by an unshakable belief in his own destiny. His army, a well-oiled machine honed by years of warfare under Philip, was fiercely loyal to their young king. They were a diverse force composed of Macedonians, Greeks, Thracians, and others, all bound together by their belief in Alexander's leadership and the promise of unimaginable riches. But Alexander's campaign wasn't just about military might. It was also a clash of cultures, a meeting of East and West, and a pivotal moment in the shaping of the ancient world. Alexander's conquests would spread Greek culture and ideas across vast swaths of Asia, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to resonate today. Alexander's military genius was apparent from his earliest campaigns. He was a master strategist, a brilliant tactician, and an inspirational leader who inspired his troops to fight with unmatched ferocity. One of his key innovations was his use of the Macedonian phalanx, a tightly packed formation of infantry armed with long pikes called sarissas. This formidable fighting force, combined with Alexander's skillful use of cavalry and his ability to exploit his enemy's weaknesses, allowed him to achieve victory after victory against seemingly insurmountable odds. But Alexander's true genius lay not just in his military prowess, but also in his charisma and his ability to win the hearts and minds of those he conquered. He understood the importance of symbolism and propaganda, often adopting the customs and dress of the people he conquered to foster a sense of unity and loyalty. Section 5. The Gordian Knot and Other Early Triumphs. Alexander's early campaigns were marked by a series of stunning victories that solidified his reputation as a military genius and sent shockwaves through the Persian Empire. One of the most famous anecdotes from this period is the story of the Gordian Knot. Legend had it that whoever could untie this incredibly complex knot would rule all of Asia. Alexander, never one for tedious puzzles, simply drew his sword and sliced the knot in half, declaring that it was more important to cut the Gordian knot than to waste time untying it. This bold act perfectly encapsulated Alexander's approach to leadership. Decisive, unconventional, and always willing to break with tradition. His early victories, including the battles of Granicus River, Issus, and the siege of Tyre, demonstrated his military brilliance and cemented his status as a rising star in the ancient world. The Persian king Darius III, initially dismissive of the young Macedonian upstart, was finally forced to take notice. The stage was set for a confrontation that would decide the fate of empires. Section 6. The Clash of Titans, Gaugamela. In 331 BCE, on a dusty plain near the village of Gaugamela in what is now northern Iraq, the armies of Alexander the Great and Darius III clashed in a battle that would decide the fate of the Persian Empire. Darius had assembled a massive army far larger than Alexander's, drawn from all corners of his vast empire. Chariots thundered, arrows filled the sky, and the clash of steel resonated across the battlefield. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander remained calm and collected. He had studied the terrain carefully and devised a cunning battle plan. Feigning a retreat, he lured Darius's forces into a trap, then unleashed a devastating counterattack that shattered the Persian lines. The Battle of Gaugamela was a decisive victory for Alexander, marking a turning point in his campaign and effectively ending the Persian Empire's resistance. Darius III fled the battlefield, leaving his vast treasury and his royal capital Persepolis to fall into Alexander's hands. Section 7. Alexander's Empire from Greece to India. With the Persian Empire in ruins, Alexander's ambition knew no bounds. He pushed eastward, conquering Persia's remaining satrapies and adding the riches of Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis to his growing empire. He then turned his attention south, conquering Egypt, where he was hailed as a liberator and crowned pharaoh. In Egypt, he founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a center of trade, learning, and culture for centuries to come. But Alexander's thirst for conquest was far from quenched. He ventured even further east, crossing the Hindu Kush mountains into India, where he fought a series of bloody battles against the Indian king Porus. Alexander's empire now stretched from Greece in the west to the Indus River in the east, encompassing a staggering diversity of cultures, languages, and peoples. He had achieved what no ruler before him had even dared to dream: the creation of an empire that spanned continents. Section 8. The Price of Ambition. While Alexander's military achievements were undoubtedly impressive, his relentless campaigns came at a cost. Years of constant warfare took a toll on his men, many of whom had been with him since the beginning of his campaigns. The further Alexander ventured from Greece, the more restless his troops became. They longed for home, for their families, and for the comforts of their homeland. Mutiny simmered within the ranks, forcing Alexander to confront the limits of his men's loyalty and endurance. Moreover, Alexander's personality, once considered charming and charismatic, seemed to change as his power grew. He became more autocratic, more prone to fits of rage, and more willing to resort to cruelty to maintain his grip on power. The once invincible conqueror was beginning to show cracks in his armor, a stark reminder that even the most exceptional individuals are not immune to the corrupting influence of absolute power. Section 9. The Death of a Legend. In 323 BCE, at the age of 32, at the height of his power, Alexander the Great fell ill in Babylon. The exact nature of his illness remains a mystery to this day, but it quickly took a turn for the worse. As his generals gathered around him, eager to hear his final wishes, Alexander uttered his last words. To the strongest. This cryptic statement, open to interpretation, has fueled speculation and debate for centuries. With his dying breath, Alexander the Great, the conqueror of empires, the visionary leader, the boy king who had become a legend, breathed his last. His empire, vast and sprawling, would soon be divided amongst his generals, who squabbled for control and plunged the region into decades of warfare. Section 10. Alexander's enduring legacy. Despite his untimely death, Alexander's legacy lived on, his name etched forever in the annals of history. He was a military genius who never lost a battle, a visionary leader who dreamed of uniting East and West, and a cultural ambassador who helped spread Greek ideas and values across vast swathes of Asia. His conquests ushered in the Hellenistic period, an era of unprecedented cultural exchange between Greece and the East. New cities were founded, trade routes flourished, and Greek art, philosophy, and literature spread throughout Alexander's vast empire. Even today, over 2,000 years after his death, Alexander's name continues to resonate around the world. He remains a subject of fascination for historians, writers, and filmmakers, his life and conquest providing endless fodder for books, movies, and documentaries. Section 11. Alexander in the modern world. From Napoleon Bonaparte to Alexander Hamilton, history is replete with leaders who drew inspiration from Alexander's life and achievements. His name has become synonymous with ambition, leadership, and the pursuit of greatness, inspiring generations of leaders, artists, and thinkers. But Alexander's legacy is not without its complexities and contradictions. While he is often celebrated as a visionary unifier, we must also acknowledge the brutality and destruction that accompanied his conquests. His empire, built on the backs of countless conquered peoples, ultimately proved unsustainable, collapsing soon after his death. Nonetheless, Alexander's story continues to captivate us. reminding us of the enduring power of ambition, the seductive allure of glory, and the profound impact that a single individual can have on the course of history.